Hello, everyone, and welcome to Tending to Change. I'm your host, Jenny Juarez. I just want to start off by saying that I am so glad you're here. No matter when you're listening to this podcast episode, you are connecting to a web of like-minded people who long to navigate the ever-changing landscape of life with grace, confidence, and an open heart. The fact that you even take the time to engage with teachings and practices like these is evidence of your awakened heart and your commitment to creating a more meaningful, a more authentic life for yourself and for the benefit of those around you. And that is no small thing. It's beautiful and amazing, really. But you might not be feeling so graceful, confident, and open-hearted these days. And I just want to acknowledge that not only is that okay, but it's perfectly rational given the current state of our world. And it's even a good thing. It's a sign that you're awake. Kirtan Wala and Dharma teacher Krishna Das has been known to say, "Do you realize how lucky you are to be so miserable? Most people, they get born, they graduate high school, they drink some beer, and they die. And they're not here for a moment. They don't ever question, what is this?" Very few people, percentage-wise in this world, are actually feeling that longing to see through the illusions and the delusions and all the things that cause us suffering. You see, awakening from the delusion of separateness is not all about love and light. Although plenty of folks can and do use their spiritual practices as a way of bypassing reality and claiming that the goal is high vibes only. That's another topic for another day. The reality is, when we realize who we truly are at our essence, we awaken to our interdependence and our interconnection with every other person and living thing. The entire cosmos is pure consciousness, pulsating with loving awareness, arising from and returning to the same ground of being. And when we grok that, when we know it to our bones, then what happens to others happens to us. We can no longer even fathom living from a selfish place that cuts our hearts off from those around us. It's not enough for just us to feel safe, happy, healthy, and prosperous. We demand that same experience for every other being in the world. And we ache when others are aching. And right now, there are a lot of people hurting. There are immense amounts of physical, mental, and emotional pain in the world. I know that I don't have to list all the sources. We're already familiar with them. What I'd rather spend time talking about is what potential this time of polycrisis holds, and what we can do to access and make use of that potential. Because as my teachers have been known to say, where attention goes, energy flows. You see, when we face a crisis, no matter how impossible it seems or is, we still have a choice. And that is the decision of whether to give up or keep going. And it is a choice. To experience suffering in life is inevitable. It's a natural part of our human experience. And for many, when they experience suffering, they choose to armor up more, numb out more, suppress and repress. And these choices do them no favors. They harden their hearts, which further disconnects them from the web of life that they're inextricably a part of. And then that isolation breeds loneliness, which makes life all the more painful. They numb more, suppress more, perhaps even become violent as a form of self-protection. And this cycle continues until they take their last breath. But many others choose a different path. They choose to keep going. They might be gripping the edge of the cliff with nothing but fingernails, but they don't let go. They cry out for help, and with the support of grace, they dig deep within themselves and rediscover their inherent empowerment. Last week, I invited you to reframe obstacles as teachers. Instead of denying or avoiding or resisting the obstacle, we can choose instead to acknowledge its existence and ask ourselves, what is this trying to teach me? What is the right action to take in response to this situation? And from the perspective of my spiritual tradition and my personal understanding, we are here in this life, in these bodies, and on this planet to learn, grow, and evolve. We might be tempted to wish for an easy life, to have all of our desires granted with the snap of a finger. But really dig in and play with that idea. What if every day you woke up and without effort, everything was handed to you? It would be absolutely amazing for a while. And we would explore and enjoy every scenario of pleasure. But I challenge you that after a while, it would become hollow, predictable, boring even. If you're a parent, consider for a moment the character you wish for your children to develop: integrity, compassion, fortitude, self-responsibility, wisdom, gentleness, perseverance, humility. And how do they cultivate these qualities of character? Through enduring difficulties, hardship, disappointment, and hurt. It's by failing that we learn to succeed. And it's through mistakes that we achieve proficiency. As Ram Dass would often say, the suffering is the grist for the mill. The stress compels our growth and our evolution. When we experience a dark night of the soul, a period of time where we feel utterly lost, abandoned, and we're despairing, we imagine that there's no way out, that it'll be like this forever. But this suffering holds the potential to wake us up. There's a wisdom to be found in the dark times of life. And through grace, we do. We fall asleep and we wake back up again and again. I assume that if you're listening to this, that you have some sort of practice. Even if it's just listening to teachings like these, that's still a practice. It's time taken intentionally to engage with something deeper than everyday ego consciousness. And there are many reasons why we initially come to our spiritual practices like yoga, meditation, prayer, chanting, mindfulness practice. We may desire reduced stress, more strength and flexibility in the body, a quieter mind, or to connect with community. But beyond these benefits, there are subtler fruits of a consistent spiritual practice. And one of them is the cultivation of inner resilience. Resilience comes from a Latin word which means the act of rebounding. It's our capacity to recover from difficulty. Resilience can also be defined as elasticity, or the ability to spring back into shape after being stretched. We cultivate this ability to recover from hardship because the most important part of any mindfulness or meditation practice is beginning again. You sit down with the intention to follow the breath, repeat a mantra, or some other point of focus. And no sooner than you begin, your mind is off to the races. So just as you might patiently, lovingly redirect a toddler or a puppy, you bring the mind back to the point of focus. And it wanders off, and you bring it back. You might practice every day for a month, and then stop for a year, until your heart feels pulled back to it again. You keep coming back. This cultivates resilience. At the same time, our practices create inner spaciousness. Practice creates space around our incessant thought streams. And instead of being completely identified with our thoughts and emotions, there's a part of our awareness that is observing. We become aware of the thoughts and emotions. And in doing so, we make space. And that spaciousness gives us our power back. With the aid of this inner spaciousness, we're able to acknowledge and feel our emotions without letting them overtake us. We can hold space for our feelings without drowning. It's as if the most mature aspect of your consciousness is tenderly holding the most vulnerable aspect of your consciousness, like a gentle parent consoling a fearful child. And you reassure yourself that, although life is very uncertain right now, you are safe and protected in this moment. Right now, you're okay. I'm here with you. I've got you. We're going to figure this out. We learn how to speak this reassurance to our inner child. And then, instead of being a victim of life, we become a participant, a co-creator. We see that life is not happening to us. It's happening through us. And we can choose to take a different action. But it's not always easy. The truth is, when shit really hits the fan, it can be hard to practice. We may even observe ourselves in abject horror as we slide into unhelpful coping strategies. We doom scroll the news feed. We engage in angst posting on social media. We engage in any number of activities to off-charge our rage and our anxiety and our fear. We do our best to become unconscious, to take a pass on reality for a little while. But once you've awakened to reality, even for a moment, there really is no going back to sleep. You can't unknow what has been revealed to you. And that's actually good news, because practice is cumulative. Nothing ever goes to waste. It has even been scientifically demonstrated that cumulative meditation practice, whether done in increments of minutes or hours, over time causes very real and noticeable changes in our brains. We all have the capacity to change our minds. And when we dedicate ourselves to our practice when we're okay, we become more aligned with our true nature, and something in us shifts. We begin to experience life with a shifted perspective, and by seeing our circumstances through new lenses, we might go down, but we don't stay down as long as we used to. I've often told my daughters that feeling depressed or anxious at times is totally normal. It's not an error or a failure. It's just a part of our human experience. Acknowledge and feel the feelings, but don't set up a tent and live there. Don't make it a part of your identity. Trust that the spaciousness you create by doing consistent practice will give you the leverage to come back out over time. We practice when it's easy and we're able to, so that our practice sustains us when we cannot. To be awake is to let your heart break over and over, trusting that you can survive a broken heart. This tender heart is what reminds us that we are alive, and it compels us to act in ways that are in alignment with the whole. We choose to take better care of our own minds, hearts, and bodies. We attend to our wounds, and we process long-ignored pain, and we evaluate our impact on the world around us. We stop littering and avoid being wasteful. We become more mindful of our speech, and we avoid gossip or name-calling. We take care of others, not from an attitude of transactional, I'll scratch your back if you scratch mine, but from an attitude of you are a part of me and I love you. We stand up for what matters to us. And now more than ever, we're being challenged to stand in our integrity and our values. I want you to understand that we are not without tools and resources right now. There have been so many grassroots organizations doing the work over the past many decades and even centuries to resist oppression and demand justice. Search for them, learn from them, and if their values feel aligned with yours, join them. To my mind, what's most important right now is that we continue to build community. The only way for us to reimagine a just, compassionate, equitable society is to create it, brick by brick, together. Much of that work has already been in play. It just might be time for you to join in or lend more of your energy to it. Check in on your people. Remind them that they're not alone. Make meals for family who are experiencing a birth or a death. Contribute to mutual aid networks. Invite friends over for a potluck and a game night. Talk to strangers. Share helpful information. Share your skills. In these ways and more, we build resilient communities. We can then take care of and protect each other when the going gets tough. The world is longing for your authenticity and your courage. Feel your feelings, honor them, but don't set up a tent and live in them. Because your rage and your fear are messengers. They're telling you that something isn't okay and it needs to be addressed. Let's work together to take the meaningful action necessary to support ourselves and each other. You've got this, and I've got you. So let's end today with a visualization practice. Wherever you are, taking a comfortable seat, feeling your feet on the ground, letting your spine be long, slight toning to the belly, feeling this power pool and collect in the core of your being. connecting to the breath as it flows in and out the nose, relaxing the muscles of the face and the jaw, letting your shoulders relax down the back of the rib cage, feeling both strong and relaxed, and taking a full breath in, envisioning this radiant, clear light traveling into the body, and as it moves through you, removing blockages, exhaling whatever doesn't serve you, inhaling this light, letting it find your deepest wounds, healing them, whether they be physical or emotional. Again, exhaling whatever is not serving you, releasing the past, releasing the pain, inhaling again, feeling this light nourish you, charging you with empowerment and confidence so that you yourself feel radiant, resolute. And now, feeling as though you are exhaling from your heart space, extending that same radiant, clear, healing light from our heart space out to the world. Imagine this light is enveloping the entire world, cradling her, opening hearts and minds and eyes, removing blockages, healing wounds, releasing pain, envisioning the whole world shimmering with this radiant light of love, penetrating and nourishing every living organism, every water droplet, every cell, cleansing, healing, nourishing, bringing the world and all her inhabitants back into wholeness, remembering our interconnection and fortifying us for the work to be done. Remember, where attention goes, energy flows. What do you want to give your energy to? What is your work to do? What is your swadharma? The time is now. I'll end this practice with a quote from civil rights activist, author, and faith leader, Valerie Kaur. What if this darkness is not the darkness of the tomb, but the darkness of the womb? What if our America is not dead, but a country that is waiting to be born? What if the story of America is one long labor? What if all of our grandfathers and grandmothers are standing behind now? Those who survived occupation and genocide, slavery and Jim Crow, detentions and political assault. What if they are whispering in our ears, "You are brave"? What if this is our nation's greatest transition? What does the midwife tell us to do? Breathe, and then push. Because if we don't push, we will die. If we don't push, our nation will die. Tonight we will breathe. Tomorrow we will labor in love, through love. And your revolutionary love is the magic we will show our children. I'm sending you so much love today and every day. May what you glean from these podcast episodes be a blessing, not just to you, but to all who come in contact with you. And may this wisdom ripple out like an ocean of consciousness. Until we connect again, take good care of yourselves and have a wonderful rest of your day.